All right. Here we are. Make it happen with Joel Rodriguez Tirado. My name is John Robert Quinn, and I'm the producer here. And of course, we're recording for iHeartRadio. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
How is everything?
Everything's going well.
It's very busy, isn't it?
Yes, been
insanely
super busy. I mean, you try doing what I'm doing. It gets busy.
What's actually it's so funny. You've been here for what, about 40 minutes or so. It's the first time I've looked at you.
I didn't want you to look at me. I've been stuck on the laptop just trying to make things happen, and it's been going really good. But it's good. I heard you've been busy too.
Insanely busy. Yeah, we had the open house, the BBB open house mixer, and there was about 50 businesses. We've connected. We just had our 6th business reach back out to us, and 4 of them, I think, now have started doing business with us, which is just massively. Nice. I mean, that's massive. And then we're going to be launching our weekly events here coming up.
That's huge.
Yeah,
man. I'm sorry I missed it, man. I had to travel to Ohio, but everything went well. I'm happy for you.
We have the next one on July 30th, so I'm hoping you'll be here for that.
I will definitely be here.
Yeah, and I mean, the stuff that we're working on is so much bigger than us, and it's extremely humbling. Let's just say that it's extremely humbling. All right, so let's talk about you're working on a new project. Talk to me about your new project.
It's The Power of Grit. It's a new book I got coming out. If you're someone who's ever faced obstacles, wondered if you could keep going, or question whether persistence really pays off, this is it. This is the book. You got to grab it.
So, well, that's the problem is a lot of people are going to, a lot of people make excuses for themselves, and then they wonder why success isn't finding them. I think the first step is they have to get the book, and then they have to read the book, and then they have to apply the book into their life, and then they'll get something out of it.
There's a phrase in there that says, everybody's trying to be confident, but they walk around waiting for confidence to fall on their laps.
Wow.
But it doesn't. Wow. Confidence doesn't come in without actions. You have to have actions in order to get there, and it's the same way for me. It took some time, but I faced the world with confidence. No matter how many no's or downs you get back up. And it's how fast you get back up just to continue.
What's actually really interesting is I saw a post recently that was talking about a bottle of water. Or actually, there was a better one. I think it was talking about a piece of steel, I think is what it was. And it was talking about, for one person, it's just a piece of steel, it's just a bar, right? It's not worth anything. But then if you take that and you turn it into wristwatches, now it's $1,000. But if you take that and you turn it into watch springs, now it's $100,000. And it's not that the material is any different; it's how it's applied, right? So with your business or with your product or your service or whatever, you might not be in the wrong industry. You just might be in the wrong space, or even in the wrong mindset. That's the other thing.
Well, that's the problem with a lot of people. They create goals. They have a plan. And as they're moving on through the goals and plans, they don't realize that sometimes you have to readjust. You have to take a step back. They just crumble and they just say, the hell with it. I'm done. I've taken every goal and then I've went back to my notes and readjusted them, and then I create a new plan. And those plans might be just taking certain things out of there that you were doing that didn't work. But some people, when something doesn't work, they take it to heart. You know what I'm saying? So they got to stop taking things to heart and learning that sometimes, things are not going to fall the same way you want them. But there's also the part where criticism, right?
Yeah.
You give people criticism, and nowadays they're so soft. And I'm sorry to say it that way.
A couple of things that you're touching on, actually. Number one is in our June issue, we one of the articles that we do is the art of the comeback, right? Comeback king. You look at Corey Feldman, look at what he's doing with his career. It's comically hilarious where his music career, but he's doing it, and he's selling shows and it's on stages that most people would only dream of playing on. But you're talking about you had 3 points there, and I wanted to hit on them, and I was like, gosh dang it, I gotta jump in. What was that last point that you had just mentioned?
Criticism.
Criticism. Yes. You know, people don't want. Yes, people get butthurt when you criticize.
Yep.
But you have to take that criticism and think about, they could be wrong. The person could be just jealous and giving you garbage criticism. But you still have to go back and listen to what they said.
They immediately put the guard up.
Yeah, but you still have to listen. Because
that's the problem. The minute you put a guard up, you're not listening because you're already butthurt that this gentleman or this person is, giving you some actual criticism that can actually empower you. So listen, don't put the guard up, but they don't. So they'll leave the conversation, and then if you were to stop them and say, "Hey, do you remember what I just criticized you on?" And they'll go, I didn't even pay attention.
Yeah. Well, or the other thing is people are so afraid of failure. And failure is such a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Failure's great because it's just like, you know what? This is a complete roadblock. No, this doesn't work. Try it a different way.
That's why it's not just about, the times where you're working harder. It's about learning how to weather the storms and keep going. Even when quitting feels easier. It's my Spanish. Sometimes it comes out when I'm speaking too fast.
Is quid a Spanish word?
Quit.
Is there a word?
No, quit.
Quid.
All right. Let's keep going. But we'll be, in this book, we dive deep into the science of perseverance and how to build the mental toughness and practical ways to develop grit in your life. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's about. There's a lot of good chapters in there, but there's also questions that are going to be there to impact you and help you get yourself out there and write them down. Don't just ignore those questions. Mm-hmm. These are tips that are going to have you acknowledge where you went wrong and where you can go right.
Explain to me what grit is.
Grit is just, the power of self-perseverance within yourself. What that means is acknowledging your faults, right? Mm-hmm. Stepping out of your comfort zone, when you become comfortable with being uncomfortable, you become bigger than yourself, But one thing is, love yourself. Don't worry about what the next person is going to think. Because we allow our circle to put us down, and then we take that and we go about our days like, oh well, they don't like me. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who likes you.
It was actually that was the third point. It was the second point of the three. Is I was talking to somebody recently, and they were like, man, everything goes so well for you. All you do is talk about like all your wins and your successes. And I go, would you rather me complain all the time? What, you don't think I have problems? Like, I can tell you 50 things that aren't going right, but I'll tell you the 10 that are.
Well, we were talking about this a few weeks back, right? Everybody, when you become successful, nobody sees what you did to get there.
Correct.
Everybody sees, oh, he's got money, or he's made it, he's successful, he runs the business, he thinks he's all that. But nobody saw what they did to get there. It was grit.
I know.
They stood the test of time to get there.
Yeah.
And if you take a look at that action instead of looking at where they're at, then you might be like, wow.
The other thing is, so many people compare, and I fall into this too. This morning, I'm still trying to figure out what kind of car I want to buy, right? And I keep going out there, and I'm like, I want to look at this, I want to buy this, I don't want, and I start to hate cars. I'm like, I don't even care anymore. And then I see a Bentley Continental this morning, and I'm like, now that's the car that I'm looking at. And the problem with that is if I went and bought that car, not because it's a Bentley, but because it's beautiful and bespoke and real wood and leather and metal and the whole, just the beauty of it, right? It's just a beautiful piece of art.
It's a great car.
But how are people going to perceive me? Because they're all comparing themselves. And then from the business perspective, if I'm charging a client, and let's say I increase my prices because of inflation, but they're like, yeah, well, you're just taking it so you can buy more expensive stuff. There's this.
The people always see the luxury. They don't see the actual person.
They don't see the person. They don't see the work that went into it.
It doesn't. And that's where you asked me, the power of grit. It's about never failing, getting back up, and then pushing when it seems impossible. And I'm going to put this out there. Impossible has the word possible in it. So if you split those together, I am possible. So everything is possible, but people kind of just latch on to the negative. We need to empower people to latch on to their positiveness into their deep in their mind. And I got asked this question the other day by a gentleman. I was talking about the fire within you, right? And what keeps me going. And I told him we all have that fire. The problem is we haven't lighted the match yet. And for those people, they kind of just close the match box and put it away somewhere in their mind. And so it never lights up, you know. But if we were to light that fire in your mind and you were to engage with everything, you know, write down your opinions, write down your ideas. And then if you can, look at those ideas. Some of those ideas can become something big. You come up with ideas every single day. I don't know when I don't think I've spoken to you any day where you don't say, bro, I have an idea. And I love it. I love it because
Lynn's been around the block a few times. CEO
right?
of the Better Business Bureau. All she talks to are businesses and has for years.
Yeah.
And every time I call her up with an idea, she's like, she stops everything and she goes, I love your ideas.
Yeah.
Because there's always some merit behind it.
Ideas are great, but the problem is people come up with idea and they just look at the world.
There's no action.
No action. Because they've never stepped into that realm, right?
Yeah.
You have to step into that.
Yeah.
You know, even if you fall, go on to the next.
Well, that's the other thing is you can come up with 25 or 30 ideas, and let's say you act on. Well, there's a science to it too. There's an art to it, but you know, you act on those, and then some of them don't work, some of them do work, and then the ones that don't, you just move them, and then the ones that do, you just keep working on it. But there's the other side of it is you can have a billion ideas, but you have that juggling factor, right? You can't juggle everything. You've got to really make sure that it's it really complements the brand and what the bigger picture. It can't just be, you know, like. You know, I was telling you, I was like, you know, I'd like to open a coffee shop, right? I can't just drop the magazine and everything I'm doing and just go open a coffee shop. You know, that's like a 8 to 10 year plan.
Another idea.
Well, no, when wifey goes and what's actually funny is I'll talk to you about it once we get off mic because I don't want it out there. But no, I'm dead serious. But when my wifey retires from her government job, she's gonna need something to do. And before her government job, she worked at Starbucks for many, many years. So, you know, being in her father owned coffee shops since she was growing up. So, you know, looking at, where I am at in my career in business, and I need, you know, places to put in, you know, revenue so the government doesn't come and take it all. You want to start building more assets in a sense, right?
Yeah.
You want to build more businesses. So,
wealth, that's what wealth's about.
That's all it is.
Having assets. I mean, you got to start building your assets. That's you're growing. Get assets out there. That's going to increase your value. People think that assets is something like what you have at home, and it goes way beyond that.
Way beyond that.
Yeah,
dude.
because the bigger asset in your home, it's yourself.
Yeah.
Right? But people forget about that. They think that the asset is the home or the watches or the Nike shoes.
I always tell people, quit investing in speculative markets, you know, stocks and crypto and all that. It's all speculation. The only thing that you can guarantee a return on is yourself.
Every setback, it's a setup.
Dude, invest in yourself and you could be as big as the world, man.
I was saying every setback is a setup for comeback. But without discipline, right? Discipline is got to be there. You have to have the discipline. That ensures you show up every day.
Yeah.
Like you come at me and you tell me every day, man, how are you doing it, right? It's you get up every morning, you take that 30 minutes, maybe an hour, you know, just focus for your day to come. But don't wake up 15 minutes to where you have to be. You wake up an hour earlier, 2 hours earlier, so that you can have your coffee, you can relax.
Get dressed.
Meditate.
You get dressed in nice clothes.
Oh, and you feel great.
You feel great, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a bed maker, though. I don't make the bed.
I don't think I've ever made my bed.
You know what? Do you know when I make my bed? Before I go to bed.
So that way you can sleep comfortable. I don't think I've ever made my bed.
Every night.
Even in the hotels. I'm like, I put the sign up. Yep, you can come in, do my bed. But I get up
Every night before bed, I make the bed all nice, and then I get into it, make it messy again. It's funny.
Before I go to bed, I have a habit, and it goes back to the power of grit and discipline, determination, and focus. I will put everything together and I'll think of tomorrow for at least 15 minutes, and I'll quiet.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'll quit everything. I put my phone on silence, put it down.
Of that.
Yes. Let me tell you why. There was a gentleman, rest in peace. His name was Mitchell. And he used to say he used to do that. And so I asked him why. It says it allows your brain to think while you're dreaming, while you're sleeping. You come up with some of the best ideas when you're dreaming. And one thing that you should do.
Well, that's where impact and influence came from.
There you go.
I woke up and was like,
boom.
That's how I do it.
It's sharpening your mind to think in a certain way. When you're watching TV.
I don't watch TV.
Or watch a movie.
I don't watch movies.
Or listen to music. Then you go and you lay down and you go to sleep. Guess what your mind is thinking about? About the damn movie. Right? So by you prioritizing your mind and focusing that, right? And going back to Mitchell will say that when your mind is trained that way and you're dreaming, the first thing you do when you wake up from a dream is grab a pen and pencil and write that stuff down, because you will forget.
Oh, yeah.
But that idea in your brain will last a lifetime.
That was where the
because you wrote
magazine
them
came.
down.
No.
Yeah.
We Frank and I tried to do the magazine 10 years ago. And then 20 years ago, I'm not even making this up, literally 20 years ago, we launched our first magazine. And I think we got 4 issues, something like that. But they were like 4 pages or 6 pages, little printout from Staples, little freebies that we handed out. I think we were charging like $15 for an ad or something at the time. But, all these years later, when Impact and Influence launched, it was just like massive. Everybody was just like, holy smokes, dude, this thing's going to be huge. But that was just a dream.
It was just a dream. Yeah. But that's what what the book is about. It's about, consistency in the way that empower yourself. And people are going to say, oh, that guy thinks he's all that. Yes, I am all that. You know why? Because I'm worked hard for what I have. I've worked hard for success. I'm focused on my dreams, my family, and my goals.
Here's the other side of that, though, that I want to touch on, and we're gonna start winding down. What I want to touch on is your definition and my definition of success are 2 completely different things. And I'm not saying yours and mine, because yours and mine are about the same. But I'm talking about the audience, right? So, the audience, the people that are listening, I'm speaking to. Your dreams and my dreams are might be different. What you think as dream car might not be the same dream car, or what you want your spouse to be, or what you want your home to be, or whatever the case is. And that is completely okay. Live your life to you. But at the same time, you still have to put one foot in front of the other. And that's where the power of grit really comes in.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
It's not doubting. Don't doubt yourself.
Never.
And you will. It'll show up in your mind, but you'll have to tell your mind, you know what? No, I'm gonna do it. And if I fail, I'm gonna learn from it. And if I don't, then guess what? I took a chance.
Well, the other side of it though is when people when I doubt myself, it's probably because I'm tired. Because I'm gonna go to sleep. Maybe if it's a nap, I love my naps. You know that. Take your nap and then wake up, and now your brain's reset. And
I said that to you last week. I said you need to stop for a second, take a deep breath, relax, let your mind exercise itself so that you can control what you're thinking.
Get up the next.
Because once it starts going, you can't control your mind. And for a person like you, man, I mean, you got ideas, and then you got ideas. Okay.
Yeah, we have fun, man. We definitely have fun. We have a lot of fun.
And I saw that you bought a new guitar. What's that about?
Well, I've been a professional musician for a very, very, very long time, and guitars are interesting. Okay, they're tools. Okay, a lot of people think, oh well, I'm only going to play this guitar. I'm only going to play this. Or
I like the way that you said tools. Some people see, oh, it's a toy.
Yeah, well, no, the tools, especially if you're in the industry.
Yes.
And I've been in the industry for almost 30 years. So next year will be 30 years actually. But the point is, is that you spend a lot of time looking at the type of instrument that you want for your next project, and the instrument heavily influences the dynamic of what that album or what that project is going to sound like. If you buy this guitar, let's just, for guitar people out there, maybe you know or don't know, I've been playing Paul Reed Smiths a number of years, and PRS guitars, they're all handmade, they're beautiful guitars, but they sound perfect for one style of music. So I was looking at Les Pauls. I didn't like how they felt. I was looking at more PRSs. I didn't want it to sound like the same albums that I've been doing. So I went with a Stratocaster. And Stratocaster can give me a dynamic of both rock, blues, and jazz. They're very balanced guitars.
Which, by the way, I want to add, if you haven't, go check out John Robert Quinn on YouTube. Man, he's got some great music, but also some great videos that you can watch and movies. So go check it out. But I'm going to touch back on the guitar part. The reason why I brought it up, because you talked about goals and dreams for us all is totally different, right? So I want you to remember that that's what it's about. And at the same time, don't forget your hobbies, man.
Yeah.
Have fun. Enjoy what you're doing. Once you learn to love what you're doing, everybody's going to get and look at you in a totally different way. But you know what? It is your way.
Guitar started as a hobby, and it hasn't been a hobby for about 20 years for me. It's been work. And that's one of the reasons why I can go so long without owning a guitar. Okay. It was funny because you had said something, and I when I went back and thought about it, I was like, man, that sounds arrogant. But then when I went back and looked at what I said, I went, well, no, that makes perfect sense. You had said, well, you're going to go home and practice? I said, no, I don't practice. And you were like, what do you mean you don't practice? I'm like, well, it's like riding a bike. As a professional, you don't practice, because when you sit down, you're creating an orchestration. There's hobbyist guitar players that are going to go out there and they're just going to play the same things over and over and over again, or they're going to play their favorite songs. But when you're a composer, you don't want to play the same songs over and over. You want to compose something new and fresh. And the only way to do that is to start writing. And the only way to start writing is to start putting notes on paper. And there is no practicing, because you're writing and structuring. The only practice then comes once you're getting ready for stage.
It's all emotion.
Well, it's for stage.
Yeah.
When you get on the stage to go perform is when you practice, because now you got to figure out how to play what you recorded. It's completely different. When you're composing for pieces at a time. So let's say I do a drum track and I put some piano to it and I put some strings to it and some bass to it. Now it's time for me to put some guitar to it. And, you might start off with just a, and then you did, a couple of, and that's all you're playing in that moment. But then when it starts to come together, it starts to be music. And then when you go to play it, you can't, because you don't know how to play the song, because you wrote it in pieces. And that's where the practicing then comes in.
And if you learn something from it, drop a like and a follow.
All right, so pick up The Power of Grit. It'll be on Amazon here within the week. It'll also be at your website, MIH-Firm. Anything you want to add before we get out of here, man?
No, just, you know what? Yes, I do.
You do.
Go out there, just create a plan, put your foot forward, open those doors. If one closes, open the next one. Don't let it be your end. I have this thing that says, don't let your weekend beat your weekend.
Whoa, do that again.
Don't let your weekend be your weekend.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, dude. You love your analogies.
I love them. And they didn't come easy. It comes.
I
from
saw
knowledge.
something at Home Goods yesterday that you should go. It's at the Folsom, at the Roseville. Where was I? Roseville, Folsom. At the Folsom Home Goods, and it was a nutrition facts for success. And it was like this nutrition facts thing, like in the back of a cereal box.
You and me.
Yeah, and it had like all the different things, and it said 100%, 100%, 100%. Complaints 0%.
Every time I hear something that's good and impactful, I'll research it and I'll make sure that it's part of me too, because I use that. And I'll leave you guys with this. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. But remember this: what you're not changing, you're choosing.
Wow.
Thank you for listening.
Wow. MIH-firm.com. Thank you all so much for listening to Make It Happen, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.